Standing in this Tokyo venue in late 2025, you'd be watching Neon Oni, a rising kawaii metal band playing to a room of screaming fans. They had already pulled in over 1.2 million streams on Spotify, and now they were selling out live shows. But the 7 musicians on that stage did not write the songs they were playing. They weren't even a real band. They were essentially actors, hired by someone in Europe, who generated all of Neon Oni's music using a prompt in an AI audio generator. We spent years worrying that intelligent machines would take human jobs and render our labor obsolete. Instead, we are seeing the exact opposite. Algorithms are generating digital intellectual property at massive scale and then hiring actual human beings to physically perform it. Neon Oni represents a shift in how labor is being deployed. In this model, the human is no longer the creative lead, but a physical asset hired to fulfill the requirements of an algorithmic business plan. To understand how this works, look at the sheer volume of production. A single user can flood a streaming platform with tens of thousands of tracks for almost zero cost. In fact, detectors find over 60,000 AI-generated songs uploaded to platforms every single day. And if we look at this chart comparing industry revenue streams, the strategy becomes clear. The payout for a digital stream is a microscopic fraction of a cent. The real capital is locked inside physical merchandise and live tours. Because generating the music costs nothing, a prompter can run massive A/B tests. They release endless variations of fake artists into the wild, checking the analytics and waiting until one specific digital persona goes viral. Once that digital property has an audience, the creator needs to cross the barrier into the physical world, so they hire struggling local musicians to slap a human face on the product, hit the road, and sell physical t-shirts. Generative technology extracts the human experience, the frustration, joy, and anger that traditionally birthed music, and replaces it with a completely risk-free, commodified testing pipeline designed solely for extraction. This system works perfectly as long as the models have material to learn from. But what happens when an algorithm requires infinite training data to sustain its output, and it runs out of original human ideas to copy? Corporate distributors begin scraping independent human creativity directly from the internet. They deploy massive data harvesting engines to consume thousands of hours of video and audio from everyday creators, swallowing up their specific artistic styles without permission. Take the case of singer-songwriter Murphy Campbell. An entity fed her personal YouTube videos, clips of her playing traditional family folk songs on her banjo in her backyard, into an AI engine to flawlessly clone her exact voice and playing style. The digital distributor then took those AI-generated ripoffs, uploaded them to major platforms, and issued automated copyright stripes against Murphy's original, human-made videos. They completely demonetized her, redirecting the revenue from her own backyard performances directly to themselves. This is a legal mechanism where a trillion-dollar industry successfully erases a human being's ownership of their own voice, likeness, and existence. And this unchecked extraction of personal data extends far beyond independent art. It is actively weaponizing human biometrics in high-stakes environments, like police surveillance. Recently, a facial recognition tool called Clearview AI misidentified an innocent grandmother on a surveillance camera. Based entirely on that algorithmic era, police arrested her at gunpoint for bank fraud. She spent 6 months in jail, losing her house and her car, despite the fact that she was 1,200 miles away when the crime occurred. At the same time, human physical movement is being harvested. Global tech firms quietly scraped a decade of location and navigation data from players of the mobile game Pokémon Go, using those human walking patterns to train autonomous robots to navigate the real world. We can see the resulting labor dynamic right now in Shenzhen, China. When a $21 a visit home cleaning robot handles the predictable, repetitive sweeping and folding, the human cleaner is relegated to managing the complex edge cases, moving obstacles, troubleshooting, and handling the nuanced physical labor the machine can't process. In this ecosystem, human labor has been repositioned as the raw material, the unpaid and often non-consenting data points that power the very systems that eventually perform the core tasks. But the illusion of infinite digital scale is finally hitting a hard physical wall. Corporate greed demands endless expansion for these models, but the physical world simply cannot sustain the required energy. Major tech firms like OpenAI are watching their data center construction plans collapse. Half of the U.S. data centers planned for 2026 are expected to be delayed or canceled because these massive server farms are rapidly draining local power grids. The critical bottleneck isn't the software. It is a severe shortage of physical manufacturing capacity for the electrical equipment, like industrial transformers, switchgear, and batteries, necessary to keep the algorithms running. The entire industry is structured to keep all the generated wealth locked safely in the cloud, while the immense physical strain, the massive power drain, and the extreme manual labor are forced onto the ground. Yet there are cracks in the system. When Paul Cunningham's dog Rosie was given months to live, Paul, a man with zero medical background, opened ChatGPT. It guided him to a genomics lab here at the University of New South Wales, where he analyzed her DNA, used the AI model AlphaFold to design a custom vaccine, and shrank her terminal tumor by half in a matter of weeks. Paul's success proves that AI can collapse the barrier to entry for highly specialized science. It leaves us with a question. What happens to the existing medical and economic order when the expertise required to solve terminal problems is no longer locked behind